Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. MALLOR GRODNER attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. What began as a training exercise for the Bloomington Fire Department became a headache after lead-tainted paint flakes and ash rained down on nearby neighborhoods.
Immediately after the fire and during the fire, there was sort of a snowfall of paint chips.
The city expects to spend more than $100,000 on the environmental cleanup. Many people are using the religious exemption to avoid getting the COVID-19 vaccine mandated by schools and employers.
They could decide to be very light touch when it comes to reviewing people's requests, or they could decide to have a higher standard, again, so long as they weren't discriminating.
Ahead, why the employer cutting one's check could determine the status of one's religious exemption. And U.S. Senator Mike Braun of Indiana is facing allegations he violated federal election laws. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Environmental cleanup of the area around a controlled burn on South High Street in Bloomington last week could cost the city more than $100,000. Pat Bean reports on the continued fallout from the fire, which rained lead-tainted paint flakes and ash on the surrounding neighborhoods.
1 week ago, residents in the neighborhood off South High Street gathered on the sidewalk to watch the Bloomington Fire Department burn down a house for practice. That was supposed to be the extent of it, but as flames engulfed the house, the residents began noticing a toxic smell and burning in their throats.
Thought it was kind of fun and interesting, and then quickly got a whiff of the paint burning once the fire dropped down into the main body of the house, and sadly recognized the smell because I've been a contractor for decades.
That smell was lead paint burning, and it has been banned for consumer use since 1978, and the smell wasn't all.
Immediately after the fire and during the fire, there was sort of a snowfall of paint chips.
Murphy ran to a paint store and purchased some lead paint test kits. Every sample he tested was positive for lead. Had it not been for Murphy and other concerned residents in the South Maxwell neighborhood, the issue might have flamed out, but Murphy gathered paint flakes from nearly 40 residences and took them to Gabe Filippelli for testing. He's a professor at IUPUI and executive director of the Environmental Resilience Institute.
I thought it was an overreaction before I did any of the analyses. And then I did the analyses and it was very clearly not an overreaction.
Filippelli's lab test and those done by the city confirmed high amounts of lead in the paint flakes.
The average was about 4% lead and the median value was 2.5% lead. So these are extremely high lead values.
The lab is distributing 500 test kits in the area that will allow residents to collect soil samples and worms from their yards for testing. Why the city didn't expect there to be lead fallout from the burning of a house built in 1951 is not clear. While the mayor's office declined an interview for this story, it pointed to the fact that the city submitted burn plans to the Indiana Department of Environmental Management for approval and received it. The city was required to remove carpeting, asphalt shingles, vinyl siding, and other materials prior to the burn by IDM.
I saw the approval documents, and the approval documents don't indicate anything about lead paint. But this is an enormous oversight. And I think that this permitting process needs to be amended immediately.
Rollo represents the affected area. He says he's contacting state officials to create legislation that will make lead paint a consideration in IDEM's approval process.
I can't believe that this was simply not considered.
Once it knew of the problem, the city reached an agreement with ServPro on Saturday to clean up the affected area. But that deal fell through after little work was done, and it wasn't until Tuesday afternoon that another company, Environmental Assurance Company Incorporated of Indianapolis began vacuuming up paint flakes from the area. The city also contracted with Vet Environmental Engineering of Bloomington to monitor the air quality during the process.
Honestly, we're not sure how long it's going to take. We're going to take as long as it needs to do it right.
According to information provided by the city, both contracts have cost restraints built in. Together, the bill from those two companies should not exceed around $118,000, but the city expects the final cost could be lower. That money will come out of the fire department's budget.
That's secondary to the matter at hand, which is putting things right.
More than 150 residents have filed remediation forms with the city, and around 100 homes have been evaluated so far by EACI and VET. Paint flakes have been found as far west as Bryan Park, which is more than a mile away from the burn site. Murphy has created a map showing the affected areas and breaking them down into zones based on proximity to the burn site and number of flakes found. The city released its own map Wednesday night showing zones of remediation. Along with releasing toxic particles into a core neighborhood, residents took issue with the city burning a large structure inside city limits.
We can't even burn our yard waste. I mean, let alone how can a house that's so old be able to be burned in such a dense populated area of Bloomington? I understand it was for training, firefighter training, but it's affected everything.
Rollo also took note of the ordinance that prohibits burning of any kind inside the city limits.
It's a deep irony that this has occurred. I don't know what to say except that, it shouldn't occur in the future.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Pat Bean.
We're joined now by Marta Venera, an environmental chemist and an assistant professor at IU's O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs. Welcome, Professor. Thanks so much for being here. So, we just heard about these high concentration of lead flakes from the burn. So what kind of dangers do they pose to the community?
So as we have heard, the levels that were measured in these paint chips that spread across a large area in Bloomington are pretty high. And unfortunately, lead is very toxic. There's no safe levels of lead, meaning anything above 0 is considered toxic.
So it rained yesterday. Does that help anything?
So it helped and it doesn't, in the sense that the rain brought all the particles, all the lead that could have been on the leaves down onto the soil, and it might have broken down some of those paint chips, but then it transformed into a different problem. Lead may now be in the soil.
So the city has contracted to have those paint flakes vacuumed up, but what should residents in those areas do if they come across them?
So don't touch them unless you're wearing gloves. So I would honestly leave them be. And what they can do is leave their shoes out and have doormats and leave everything from the outside out and not bring it inside. And don't let the kids play with the leaves that we all have sitting in our backyards.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about those flakes that are everywhere, but what about the air right now in that area? Is that safe?
I think the air is okay. It's in the particles, and the rain has washed them down. So I think rain was a good thing from that respect.
And what about if people have any type of vegetable gardens in their backyard right now? Can they still use them, or are they contaminated?
I wouldn't eat them. I think there's a good chance that they have been contaminated, and you don't want to take any chance when lead is involved, especially for younger kids.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Thank you.
Now, the city has set up a website with information about the burn, safety procedures, and how to request remediation. It's at bloomington.in.gov/BFD burn info. Well, $47 billion in the federal infrastructure bill will go to make communities in the U.S. more resilient to things like flooding, drought, and extreme heat. The White House says it's the largest such investment in American history. But Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel reports an IUPUI researcher says it's a good first step.
Gabriel Filippelli is the director of Indiana University's Environmental Resilience Institute. He says money from the infrastructure bill could go toward a number of projects in Indiana.
Better flood protection maps, which are desperately needed in Indiana. Hopefully some funding for identifying and mapping out urban heat island impacts and ways to mitigate those.
But last year alone, the U.S. suffered almost $100 billion worth of damage from extreme weather and climate-related disasters. Funding from the infrastructure bill would only be half that much and spread out over 10 years, not one.
No, it's not enough in the long run, just because it pales in comparison to the climate disaster costs. But it's better than nothing, and it's a great first step.
And Filippelli says resilience will only go so far. The U.S. has to stop burning fossil fuels. Otherwise, the future may be worse than what we're prepared for. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
Vox Booker will have to pay for his own legal representation in future court proceedings related to last year's incident on Lake Monroe. The Monroe County Public Defender's Office filed a motion earlier this week saying Booker might not meet the definition of indigency needed for his previously appointed public defender. The judge overseeing the case agreed and ruled Booker ineligible for a public defender. After Booker went public with his story last summer that he was nearly lynched near Lake Monroe, his friend set up a GoFundMe that's raised close to $36,000 for him to put toward medical bills, day-to-day costs, and legal fees. Booker can appeal the decision. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Being granted a religious exemption from getting the COVID-19 vaccine could depend simply on who you work for. And if you come across a stray piano downtown, feel free to sit down and start playing. It's part of a local project. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Public media's role now is more than ever to get the facts out, to be as transparent as possible, and to tell the truth as we know it.
There's a lot of information out there, and it's really hard to know what you can believe, which is why I think people turn to us again and again.
It's public media's role to try to help educate and enlighten.
PBS continues to be one of the most trusted institutions in the country.
We really do go out and meet the moment as it's happening.
We are there at the front lines asking tough questions and getting important and robust answers.
We're playing a major role in combating lies, fake news.
As journalists, we are trying to bring the most fair coverage that we possibly can.
It's about digging deeper and talking to the powerful and especially to the powerless.
Public media is the place where you cut through all the noise.
We move forward by staying true to our values.
And on PBS, news is human.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. U.S. Senator Mike Braun faces allegations that he violated federal election laws by accepting millions of dollars in improper loans during his 2018 Senate campaign. The Federal Elections Commission investigation alleged that Braun took $7 million in loans from banks during his campaign without proof of collateral, which is required by federal campaign finance regulations. The agency also said Braun illegally took a $1.5 million loan from his own company. Chris Gober, an attorney for Braun, says the campaign has provided evidence that the bank loans were above board.
We nonetheless trust that the information we've provided to the commission should sufficiently put to rest the audit division's erroneous position that these were not Senator Braun's personal funds.
FEC auditors and counsel maintain the documents provided by the Braun campaign still do not meet necessary requirements. We're joined now by Paul Helmke. He's a former Fort Wayne mayor and currently the director of the Civics Engagement Center at IU's O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs. Welcome back to the show.
It's great to be on.
Thanks for being here. You know, as we heard, Braun allegedly violated these election laws. Why are they so important?
Election laws are complicated, and we have election laws because, number one, we don't want corporate money coming into politics, and we want to cap the amount that an individual can give. What Senator Braun's being accused of is, first of all, getting $7 million in improper loans from banks. Banks are allowed to loan money to a candidate, but they're supposed to be commercially reasonable. Usually a candidate might get a second mortgage on their home to get more money. Apparently here, Braun got $7 million in loans without any security behind it. The Braun campaign argues that he is so wealthy that the banks knew they didn't need to get any security, that just sort of his word was good enough. The FEC seems to be saying they need to see more than that. They might not require security, but they want to see what the note was, what the interest rate was, what the repayment terms was. That's a very major question. If you've got $7 million going into somebody's campaign without a good expectation that you might get paid back, that would clearly be an illegal corporate loan. The other issue, though, is his own corporation put $1.5 million into the campaign. And this in a way could be even more serious because it's been the law for over 100 years, no corporate money legally into campaigns. The Braun campaign is arguing, first they said it was a loan or a stock cash out or compensation for what he did. Their story has changed, so it makes it a little bit weaker. What's problematic for the Braun campaign is the money apparently went directly into the campaign instead of going to him and then into the campaign. If it had been compensation or a stock payout, it would have gone to him first. So again, they're going to argue that maybe they signed the check and just signed it over to the campaign, but that's where the FEC wants more information.
So what are the possible consequences for Braun and his campaign now?
Well, this is one of the problems with our elections is that the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, doesn't have very much power anymore. You could get fined, some serious fines, but the FEC, the Elections Commission, is balanced politically, and what's been happening over the last number of years is that the Republicans will vote one way, the Democrats will vote the other way. There'll be a stalemate, and so there'll be no fines entered or very minimal fines entered. So the publicity, the fallout from it back here in Indiana might be worse than the fines he gets from the FEC, but they could have some very serious fines to the campaign committee.
So we have just about 30 seconds, but Braun's been pretty vocal about election security. Does this look good?
I don't think this looks good. And again, they're arguing that they haven't gotten all their documents in yet, that it'll all be straightened out. But to have this sort of a problem, and there were a number of other smaller violations that the FEC audit came up with too, makes it look pretty bad for somebody.
Paul, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Former Senate Minority Leader Tim Lannon says he's not seeking re-election after more than 20 years in the State House. Lannon, a Democrat from Anderson, has represented District 25 since 1997, but his district was redrawn over the summer and now includes the area of another sitting lawmaker, Republican Mike Gaskill of Pendleton, who says he will run for re-election. U.S. Representative Jim Banks is back on Twitter 2 weeks after the social media platform locked him out for violating its rules. Banks is a Republican whose district includes Fort Wayne and the surrounding area. His account was locked October 24th after he posted a tweet decrying the appointment of Dr. Rachel Levine as the Assistant U.S. Secretary of Health. Levine is a transgender female. Banks, who has frequently drawn attention for his right-wing social media comment, stands by his remarks. Workers navigating COVID-19 vaccine requirements are at a crossroads. That's because receiving an exemption to a vaccine mandate likely depends on your employer. Brock Turner has the story.
Tracy Staley is losing patience.
I had always intended on making a career at IU Health. I was proud for who I worked for. I loved my job, and the direction that they're going is disgusting. I mean, it's not something that a lot of us want to see.
Most health facilities accepting money from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services are required to have a plan for staff vaccination. Providers generally offer exemptions for those requesting them.
I've had a religious exemption for the flu shot vaccine since I started in 2015. This was the first company that I ever had to apply for one because it was the first one that mandated.
Staley, who also has a religious exemption for the COVID-19 vaccine, has become an advocate for others who haven't been as successful gaining exemptions. She maintains a website that provides resources for those seeking them. According to internal documents obtained by WFIU and WTIU News, Indiana's largest health system, IU Health, has granted exemptions to more than 1 in 12 employees. A spokesperson declined a request for an interview, but wrote the organization has, quote, given more religious exemptions than medical. Medical exemptions are reviewed by medical personnel and follow the product information sheet for the vaccine. The science allows us to be clear on the decision. Religious exemptions are reviewed differently. Employees make exemption requests based on sincerely held religious beliefs, and their beliefs are honored, end quote. But receiving an exemption could depend solely on one's employer. Micah Beckwith is the campus pastor at Life Church in Noblesville. Beckwith says he has helped hundreds of Hoosiers apply for religious exemptions and has seen significant variation. Often, he cites 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 19 and 20, which states the body is a temple that should be honored. Multiple sources say IU Health has been generally accommodating, but other health systems have taken a different approach. Beckwith is a member of the Republican Party who made an unsuccessful bid for a congressional seat in 2020. He continues to help those seeking exemptions.
I have not heard one person, and I've had a lot of them reach back out to me. One person that I know of that's gotten approved for a religious exemption at Ascension. And then other people who I haven't helped, just in conversation, that have filed for religious exemption, they've also said that they're getting denied as well. So,
while experts say safeguards such as vaccine mandates are both constitutional and common, wide variation among private employers is to be expected.
They could decide to be very, light touch when it comes to reviewing people's requests, or they could decide to have a higher standard, again, so long as they weren't discriminating.
But that quickly becomes complicated. Garnett says courts haven't adopted a definition for what discrimination is in this arena, at least not yet.
It would make life easier if there were a line or a litmus test. There isn't. If we're talking about government agencies, and this is true in federal law and all kinds of contexts, you can ask about sincerity and the kinds of investigations that might involve. Again, there isn't going to be one right answer here.
The vast majority of IU Health employees have been vaccinated. Still, Staley, who works in a non-clinical role, believes the treatment she and other unvaccinated workers receive is discriminatory.
They're not respecting their employers' or employees' rights. And a lot of that, unfortunately, comes from funding, and they've prioritized that over their employees. It's really sickening the direction that healthcare and employment in general has taken.
Staley believes workers, regardless of their vaccination status, should be more valued by their employers. Both she and Beckwith agreed the politicization of the issue surprised them.
I think the biggest thing is we've got to stop looking at the sides and picking sides and saying that person's evil because they don't wear masks, they haven't gotten vaccinated, or that person's evil because they have gotten vaccinated, or they are wearing a mask. I think there's very clear lines of right and wrong, and we can certainly call out right and wrong. I'm not saying don't have principles.
3 safe, effective, and approved vaccines are available, yet almost half of eligible Hoosiers remain unvaccinated. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
If you stumble across a piano downtown, feel free to sit down and start playing. That's what they're there for. Mitch Legan has this report.
If you've walked around Bloomington recently, you've probably seen them, or maybe you've heard them. More than 10 pianos, painted and decorated by artists, have been placed in public and are free to play. They're part of the B-Town Piano Project. Chandler Bridges, who runs the project, hopes the pianos will encourage people who haven't played in a while to sit down and play a piece, or inspire those who are curious to learn to play.
I heard about someone the other day that sat down on the piano and hadn't played since 10th grade, and they played for 30 or 45 minutes, and they just found so much joy in being able to express themselves musically.
After coming out of the pandemic and months of isolation, he says music can be a relief for many people. The project also allows artists to have their work displayed publicly.
We have one that's out in front of the Hoagie Carmichael sign over by Buffalo Louie's, and that one was a group of friends, and they dressed up the piano and painted it. It's all vibrant colors with a disco ball hanging from it.
Bloomington High School students and artists from Artisan Alley have decorated the pianos. 2 of them will be in the lobby of the Monroe County Public Library this weekend. Kevin McDowell's looking forward to it.
So many times in my 40-some years of playing piano, have found a piano out in the world that I wanted to play and couldn't. And it's such a wonderful contrast to be invited to play it with no rules.
He says most of the time, when he sees a piano out in public, he's asked not to touch it. He appreciates that these pianos offer an opportunity to play whenever. McDowell will play a mini concert at the library this Saturday at 11 a.m. The pianos will be open to the public for the rest of the weekend. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mitch Legan.
Pesticide that's applied to corn can sometimes find its way onto watermelon plants, harming pollinators that watermelons need. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Rebecca Thiel reports Purdue University researchers found reducing pesticide can increase yields and save farmers money.
Applying pesticides to seeds or a whole field might be convenient and seemingly cheap, but it harms pollinators in the area and doesn't do much for yield. Researchers found using pesticides as needed didn't change corn yields, and watermelon yields went up. Jacob Pachenka is a graduate student at Purdue and the lead author of the study. He says his team saw more than a dozen native bees and other insects flock to the watermelon fields that had less pesticide.
Really surprising that even after the first year of putting these fields in, the wild bees were doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as pollination services.
Pachenka says the money saved by using fewer pesticides balances out the time or money it might take for farmers to apply them more strategically on their fields. It can also encourage natural predators that control pests.
So if you reduce and only spray when you need to, the pollinators are so much happier, and that can actually lead to improvements in crop yield just by those pollinators visiting much more frequently.
For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.
And after dealing with injuries at quarterback most of the season, Indiana will have all three available for Saturday's home game against Rutgers. Indiana coach Tom Allen says starter Michael Penix and backup Jack Tuttle both practiced again this week. Freshman Donovan McCulley is also healthy.
Yes, definitely got more opportunities, more reps this week than last, which is very positive, and we will have multiple quarterbacks ready to play on Saturday.
Kickoff time is at noon. We have more online, WTIUnews.org.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. MALLOR GRODNER Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.